And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're receiving this information. My name is Rafael Vasquez Guzman, and this is Chisme is Life, the podcast where we can have conversations about topics that perhaps our parents couldn't have with us because our parents maybe never went to college, or our parents were just uncomfortable or just not knowledgeable about it. And so today we have Bianca Aviña, who is back to have this conversation with us. And our conversation is going to be about, again, from college to careers. And it's an important conversation, Bianca, that I think, as I mentioned, often as first generation college students, many of us have to figure everything out on our own. So thank you for taking the time and being here. Talk to us perhaps about, again, some of the stuff and some of the challenges you face, and then we'll take it from there.
Yes, and I want to start out with sharing that, I am a therapist, a marriage and family therapist, and in my practice, a population that I work a lot with is young adults, college students, and going through that transition. And I just want to say that with this population, something that I notice a lot is that anxiety. And I remember being there, that anxiety of like having to figure things out and needing to know and having to decide right away. And aside from that anxiety, it's also a pressure that they feel and that face in their life, the pressure of and I get it that there's also this pressure of you need to know what career path to take in order to know what college to apply to, what classes to take. So I guess that's where the pressure comes in, also the school system and the pressure from our family of ¿qué vas a hacer con tu vida? What is it that you need to go to college? And also pressure on ourselves. And I think I could speak on my own experience. I don't think I felt like a literal pressure from my parents or my family, but I would put that pressure on myself. And I think, like you mentioned, being first generation, and the oldest in the family, it's just an added pressure where I felt like I'm the one that has to fulfill the American dream in my family. My parents sacrificed so much to come to this country that now it's on me. And so I felt like if I didn't succeed in college in my career, then I was a failure to the family, or I would be disappointing them.
And this is a perfect reason why certain groups, especially in the Asian American community, have a high level of suicide. And it's because they feel the pressure, right? The expectations, hey, you're the first one to be born in the US, you better become a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer maybe, or whatever the situation is. And so that level of pressure is not something that should be put on anybody. And sometimes parents tell you in the Latinx community, they tell you directly, like, you're going to do this. Sometimes they decide what career you're going to do. And then sometimes they don't even have to mention anything. You just have that almost like guilt that you carry around. Well, if they made the sacrifice to come here, I better do something. Which also connects, I think, with the fact that many of us as Latinx, we are not expecting to put our parents in a convalescence home or, hospice type of thing. They're going to live with one of us. And as a result of that, obviously, you're thinking about money and resources and all that stuff. So again, all these unhealthy pressures that we all go through.
Yeah, and there's also a lot more pressure, like the financial pressure. I need a career that will give me money, and also the time pressure. This is a big one where I think going into college, we set ourselves this timeline, this expectation. By this age, I'll be done 4 years. By this age, I will be making money, and then by this age I'm going to buy a home. And then we start to notice that it's actually not going the way we planned. And that's where I noticed that we start to we beat ourselves up, and we start to put that pressure on ourselves, or self-esteem stuff starts to come up because of that time pressure that we give ourselves and the timeline that we're not meeting pretty much.
Yeah, somebody has told us that, again, Miguel did it in 4 years, so I have to do it in 4 years, even though again, we start at different levels. Maybe I had to learn English as a second language versus Miguel, who was born here and already spoke English, or maybe English is the only language that he speaks, right? But there is that comparison that also parents do with their children. No, Maria is already making good money over there. I don't know what's up with you because they only went to college for 1 year, but here you are. You are 3 years into whatever it is that you're doing, right? And so there is that. And at the same time, there's those parents who like to brag. No, my kid is going to go to Berkeley. My kid is going to go to Harvard. My kid. And again, that added pressure for that child.
Yeah. So I just wanted to start out with, I'll share my experience from, coming out of high school, going into college, and then having the career I have now. But before I started to share my experience, I did just want to normalize that I think you're not alone. I think we all have felt that pressure at some point being a college student and that anxiety, and it's totally okay not to go into college not knowing what you want to do. It's totally okay to not have it figured out. And it's totally okay if you're not meeting that timeline that you have set for yourself. Everyone will get there at their own time, and that's okay.
Absolutely. And again, just a reminder, we're just chismeando. We're just having this conversation. It doesn't mean that your experience and my experience is going to be the same as anybody else's experience. And that's part of what needs to be recognized here, that everybody does it on a different timeline. Just this semester, I've had students that lost a grandpa, that lost mom, that lost grandma. And it's like all of those pieces can add delays in the progress of your education. And so everybody's experience is unique. So it's important to start the conversation there.
Yes, I will share here my experience in the psychology field, but I will generalize it because I think my hope is that with me sharing my story, someone could get at least one tip or one something that helped me out that could help them out, but also not comparing themselves to my experience because we all have a different experience in our college
Absolutely.
career. Mhm.
So educate us about your experience.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning when I was born. No, I'm kidding. Let's start from the beginning in high school when I was, gonna graduate back in 2007. In high school, I was a part of a school club. It was called Nuevas Culturas. They don't exist at the high school anymore, but we had that club where I was able to volunteer for different opportunities, volunteer job opportunities. And this is where I could remember that as a 17, 18-year-old, I started to notice that I was starting to explore like, oh, I really like there were opportunities where we were able to help people. And I started to notice, oh, I really like helping people. Like I remember I helped at a Mexican consulate, and I helped illiterate people like fill out their paperwork, where to line up. And I was really feeling fulfilled with that. So graduating high school, I did feel like I don't know what I want to do. I just know I want to help people. So I did apply to four-year colleges and I did get accepted, but then I decided not to go the route of a four-year college, mostly financially. I did feel a lot of guilt with my parents helping me out financially, so I couldn't let go of that. So I decided I'm just gonna go to the JC, to Santa Rosa Junior College is where I went. That way I could continue to live at home, work full time, and I could, pay my way through. Even though I did get financial help, I knew that eventually I would need their help. So I did go into the JC undeclared. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And at the JC is where I noticed that while I was taking my general ed classes, my general education classes, it's when I started to notice that I was really gravitated toward the human behavioral classes like sociology, child development, psychology, and cultural anthropology. Those were where my interests were, and I would get really excited for these classes. So for you, if you're in that phase in life, just notice what are those classes that spark an interest in me and that I really do feel gravitated toward. And then also something else, at the JC, there was a career class that I took, which I think still happens because I hear it from my clients, specifically at Santa Rosa Junior College. I'm sure other colleges have it as well. But I took a career class where I found it really helpful. We took personality tests. They would give us like a list of possible careers that would align with us. And we actually had an assignment where we actually had to go and interview professionals that were in that field of our interest. And I found that to be helpful to start exploring my interests. And so I just naturally I landed in an associate's of social and behavioral science. And that's when I realized at the end of my Santa Rosa Junior College experience, I said, I really like psychology. I still don't know what I want to do, but I knew that I wanted to go the pathway of psychology. So I transferred, I decided to transfer, and I transferred to Sonoma State University because, again, with the idea of I want to live, I want to keep it close to home. I still want to live at home, and work full time. And so I went to Sonoma State University, and my plan was to get the bachelor's in psychology. So I did notice that once I transferred, my classes were a little more narrowed, where I was like, okay, I'm choosing the psychology classes that have more of my interest. There was also an internship department where I could go and choose some internship jobs. So while in Sonoma State, I started to take internships that would align with what my interest was. And that's how I was able to explore a little bit more what I possibly would want to do. And something that was really hard for me, because I used to be shy, I'm not too shy anymore, but I used to be really shy. So I had to make myself talk to professors. The ones that I would see, oh, their job sounds really cool, or I really want to do something like that. I would take it upon myself to go to their office hours and talk to them and ask them questions. And it was not just about career, but things like, I want to be a mom one day. Are you able to be a mom while having this career and this job? So that's something that really helped me out a lot too, during my undergrad, is talking to my professors.
You mentioned a lot of important tips here. So for students who may be in around Santa Rosa Junior College, Napa Valley College, Mendocino College, San Francisco, wherever you are, check out those careers classes. And typically at Santa Rosa Junior College, it is Counseling 6, and it's a very helpful class if you take it serious. There are individuals who have come over and like, it didn't help me any. Okay, did you fully participate? When you went and interview people in order to finish the process, did you actually create questions that were important, or were you just trying to do an assignment? Oh, I was just trying to pass the class. This class is not about passing the class. This class is about learning about yourself, right? So it's really good that you did that. And students in high school should do that class, not wait until they go to college, but in high school. Super important. The other piece is something that you mentioned, and it's super important, and that is introducing yourselves to professors the first week of the semester. Right? My name is so and so. I'm going to be in your class. I just wanted to introduce myself. Right? It does two things. It forces you to do your homework because now the professor is going to be looking for you. But also, if they see that you are into this material, the professor will likely say, you know what, I'm going to tell Victor over here to see if he's interested in an internship, or I'm going to tell whomever it is, right, that there is a job opportunity in my department or in another department. And that in itself, right, it's a great benefit. And as always, those are the people that sometimes recommend you, like letters of recommendation for other opportunities. And so those points that you made are really, really important. And for those of us who are first generation college students, again, I fully understand the discomfort of, going and speaking to faculty. But let us remember that in college, faculty get paid to have office hours. So if you don't want to talk to them in the classroom, go during office hours. Some will do it via Zoom, some will do it in person, whatever works, and just a quick check-in. It just makes sure that the faculty knows who you are, because that's beneficial in the future. And I'm sure you took opportunity of that.
Yeah, and let me share this part. I'm glad you brought this up. There was a professor at Sonoma State, and I'll share names. Her name's Dana Schneider, and she's a well-known therapist in the court-involved field. And she was one of the professors that I was like, oh, I really want to do what she does. And I talked to her during my undergrad. Well, she knew Dr. Maria Hess. So when, I connected with Dr. Maria, when I went to Humanidad, which I'll talk a little bit about, we were like, yes, Dana Schneider. So it helped that Dr. Maria Hess knew her, and knew that I knew, we all knew each other. And now that I'm in my private practice, this professor, Dana Schneider, she's actually someone that I consult with at a professional level now. And so it's a full circle moment. So yes, it's very important to form those relationships, because they could help you eventually.
Definitely. And so for you, one of the things that you did is, again, which is the other piece that I wanted to get back to, is just because you were accepted to a 4-year university, whether it's private, public, whatever, it's always, if you're not 100% sure about your career, one of the things I always tell people, why do you want to go to UC Berkeley if 2.5 years into the university, you're going to find out that that university does not have your major, or maybe it's not the best university for the specific major. Ahora, you're going to have to come back to the community college, reapply, and maybe it's Sacramento State or Sonoma State or some other university. So career exploration should happen at a younger age, so that when you are going to apply for universities, it's a great exercise to apply, so that you can know what's the likelihood you're going to get in, how can you improve your application, all that stuff. But also, again, if you don't have the funding, why would you want to go in debt when you have community colleges in California that under AB 19, the first 2 years of classes are free, just because the government wants everybody educated? And so, again, that was also another point that I think matters. Money, but also if you're not 100% sure on a career, go to the community college and then transfer. Just because you go to the community college and then transfer to UC Davis, your diploma is not going to say, oh, graduated from UC Davis, but by the way, they started at the community college. Nobody cares about that stuff, right? So super important. You save yourself a pile of money, and then you are still successful.
Yes, I'm really glad. I don't regret my decision of not going to a 4-year college, because I was lucky to have a full-time job where they were very flexible. I know not everyone could do this, but my job was really flexible with my school schedule. So every semester they would accommodate my hours, so I could continue working full-time and living with my parents. I didn't have to pay rent. I feel like that was their way of helping me. And so I did not take any student loans at all in my undergrad. I was able to pay, and then also with the financial help I was receiving, not until I got to graduate school, that's when I did have to take out loans. And that's where I was like, you know what? This is why you worked full time and you paid your way to get to the moment where, okay, now it's time to get student loans. But yeah, I was able to pay all my undergrad, and I'm thankful for the JC that I was able to save up on all that.
Absolutely. And just a reminder to our brothers, sisters, non-gender conforming undocu students, remember that in California, it doesn't matter if you have status or not. You can go to colleges, you can go to public universities, and there's a lot of resources. And they're AB 540, SB 68, become familiar with it, or reach out and we'll provide that. And also we have a video on our YouTube channel, Líderes del Futuro, that is in English, another one in Spanish about scholarships. Fall is when you apply for scholarships. There's a lot of scholarships, whether you're in high school, college, or university. Just want to put that out there because I want to make sure that just because you're undocumented, you don't think that the opportunities are not there. In fact, my first undocumented student just got his doctorate in geology. And so, again, the opportunities are there. We just have to take them. But tell us about, so you went to Sonoma State University and you work on that bachelor's degree.
Yes. And I do want to pause first and say, I know I'm going through this really fast, but in that time period, I had my moments. Yes, and I would sleep very late, me desvelaba doing homeworks. There were moments of me wanting to give up. There were moments of self-doubt. There were moments of me crying, where moments where my mom was worried about me, like, this is really stressing you out, and I wanted to give up. So yes, it is really hard to be a college student and balance life, like social life, and if you are in a relationship and your own personal self, and you still have to exercise and then work and then eat healthy. Like, it was really hard. And I share this because a lot of my clients do say, like, it's just me not handling it well. But no, it is hard to be a college student, and I want to normalize that too. I went through it as well. And so, yeah, so then after I got my bachelor's, I did take a year off because I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I did get a job where I was working as a behavioral therapist for kids with developmental disorders like autism and Down syndrome. And I thought that was the path I wanted to go, but there was a little part of me that still felt like, I don't know if this is exactly what I wanted. It still didn't feel like it fit well with me, although I was content. And I was going through that like licensure of being a behavioral therapist. So I took a year off and explored that job a little bit more. And in this job, I started to realize that a lot of family members would come and open up to me emotionally, like the hardships of having someone with a developmental disorder in their family. Even the little siblings would be like, Bianca, it's so hard when my parents can't come to my band concert because my brother is stimulated by the noise and they have to miss out on it. And I noticed that when these family members would come to me and open up to me, I did not know how to respond. And I could see the need, the emotional need. And it started to spark an interest of like, maybe I want to work with those emotions and the stress and how to do that. And I also took some little part-time jobs where I was doing like circles, like therapeutic group work. And I started to really like that. And that's when I decided, okay, I want to do therapy. I'm gonna be a marriage and family therapist. It took a lot of research. It took a lot of time to figure it out, but that's where it all came from, that interest. And so I started to apply for graduate programs after a year off from my bachelor's. And I got denied to one school that I applied to. And that really brought me down. I cried. I felt so, I just made me feel like I'm not made for this. Like, why am I even thinking I could be a therapist? Really negative talk. And I decided I'm just not going to get my master's. I don't think I should do this. I'll just stick with my bachelor's. I'm doing pretty well anyway. But then long story short, I heard about the program that I did get accepted to, the University of San Francisco. I heard about them. I heard they had a Santa Rosa campus, which now they're located at Santa Rosa Junior College. And so I looked into them, I applied, I got accepted, and with still a lot of fear, I really did go in thinking, oh, I'm just gonna get rejected also. But I got my master's in University of San Francisco in counseling psychology with an emphasis of marriage and family therapy. That's a whole new other talk of, what pathway to take in psychology, but that's what I went for. And now I'll fast forward to the end of my graduate program in our career fair. My campus held a career fair where I met Dr. Maria Hess from Humanidad. I'm sure you've heard Rafael talk about this agency a lot. And I talked to her, and I'm very intuitive. So I felt like this is where I want to be. This is where I want to do my traineeship. And being Spanish speaking, I did get offered intern or traineeships that were paid, but there was just something in me that was like, oh, that sounds so good to be paid, but I really want to go with Dr. Maria Hess. Just their approach in therapy really aligned with my values, and I think I needed that for myself to really listen to that. And so I went to Humanidad and I did my traineeship there. I stayed throughout my, at the moment it was internship, now it's called associateship. And I got licensed at Humanidad as well. And now fast forward to once I was licensed, um, I I started to see the opportunities in my local town where they were asking me to do things as a therapist and inviting me to do things, but I was not in a private practice setting. So I think this is where Humanidad really helped me out too. At the time, the executive director, I spoke to her about this, like, I'm thinking of private practice. And instead of her saying, like, oh, then if you're thinking of that, leave us, or no, stay with us, don't do it, she was actually really helpful. And she's like, explore it. We will, te apoyamos. Go ahead and start transitioning out. Don't completely leave us. Like, you could slowly transition out as you start building your practice. And so, again, thinking about private practice was not easy. I had a lot of fears. I would cry. I remember having sleepless nights. It was a really hard decision because it's your own business. And I had no idea about business. It was really scary, afraid of failure. So there was a lot of thinking on this, but I feel like Humanidad, not just the executive director, but all the other therapists, the the supervisors, they really helped me and held my hand through it. And outside of Humanidad, again, the importance of building relationships with people in this career. There were a lot of people that really took me under their wing and that mentorship really meant a lot and really helped me get to where I am at now. And now I'm 3 years into private practice and still learning, still growing, still with a lot of goals for my own career, and still with fear. But I think I just need to share that even though there is fear, even though there's a lot of self-doubt and a lot of obstacles, because there's a lot of other stuff I didn't mention. I did have 2 pregnancies throughout all this. So there was a separation with my husband throughout all this as well. So there's just a lot in my personal life, deaths in the family, that really were obstacles to getting to where I'm at, but sí se puede.
So that's like 6 hours worth of dialogue in itself, right? The reality that some people will work for somebody else and will get a 401k, maybe in health insurance and this and that and the other. And then people who take a different type of risk and say, I want to decide when I start working, if I'm going to make money today, if I'm not going to make money today. And there's so many other pieces in your situation because is mental health. You probably have to deal with insurance companies and billing, and which is a whole different animal because sometimes it's delayed. Payments may be delayed for a month or two or whatever. And how do you pay the rent for your business and this and that and the other? But at the same time, this is what separates the people, right? Like I've always said, if college was easy, everybody would have a college diploma.
Yeah.
But it's not, especially for people of color, especially for immigrants, first generation, first born in the US, whatever the situation may be. Whether your parents are supporting you, whether your parents are not. Like in my situation, I was not as privileged as other people, and I had to pay for everything. No financial aid, no scholarships. I had to pay for my rent, my classes, transportation, food, and everything else. So while I knew that some people were going to lunch on a regular basis, I was carrying my little sandwich here and there or go without food, and getting out of class at Sonoma State and then running to work. And sometimes it's 8 p.m. and it's your maybe first or second meal of the day. And because you have to have 2 or 3 jobs and still go to college, sometimes I was sleeping 5 hours a night, sometimes four. Um, but here we are sitting here and, you know, you come to this country as a low income individual and now you're a member of the middle class, and there are certain responsibilities to your community as a result of that if you take this serious. Which is why we're having this conversation. The conversation is not about bragging. The conversation is not about any of that stuff. The conversation is to say, we understand you. The conversation is to say, if you're going through this, I too, when I started my master's at Sonoma State University, I remember that 8 times, I can remember clearly, 8 times during my first semester, I cried, I walked away and came back, right? I had the conversation with myself. Okay, like you said, I have a job, I have a career, not a job, but I have a career. It pays me okay. Why am I trying to put myself through this? And then in my situation, I wanted to dedicate my master's to the memory of my brother who had passed away. And so that in itself kept me going back. And, page 3 of my thesis clearly says, dedicated to the memory of Luis Vasquez. You were not just a brother to us, you were a father to us. And it's there and it's permanent. And my degree, I don't like to hang it on my office, maybe I should, but it's still my degree, right? And so those are the pains that often people suffer in silence. Right. And so I appreciate that you're willing to share publicly this stuff because, again, it's not easy. And people also make assumptions. Well, you have a master's, Bianca, your family must have given you all this money, and your parents obviously knew what they were doing, and you're a therapist. What do you mean talking about separation? And what do you mean all of this stuff? What's the point of becoming a therapist? Right? Understanding that you have more tools than other people to cope with those difficult situations, but you're also human, right? And we're going to have ups and downs on a regular basis, but you're not giving up. And now in your position, you're able to support the future generations, right? Because you work with college students, you work with high school students, and I think sometimes you even work with middle school students or maybe even younger. But if you didn't have that degree, if you didn't have this license, if you had given up when you only had the bachelor's, who would be in your position to give back to your community?
Yeah, and the knowledge that you gain, like I used to think with my bachelor's and I was doing those little therapy groups, like I'm sure it helped them in some way, but looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really did not have the tools. I still had a lot more to learn. So I am so grateful like for all the new knowledge I have gained in my master's program because I could see how like one degree up could really help you out professionally. And I also want to say that my heart is so full to see this generation. Like I have like 5 college students in my practice right now. It's amazing to see the mental health support that they're seeking. They literally come to say, I don't know what I want to do in my life, and I'm having a lot of anxiety about it. So it's so cool to see this generation really getting this mental health support because it's really needed in this phase in life.
And again, a lot of people are suffering in silence, right? There's a new report that just came out it just came out yesterday. NPR released it, and it says 1 in 5 high school students in the US are having a romantic relationship with an AI. The level of isolation,
Yeah.
So it's good that a lot of kids are reaching out, but how many of them are not? Because society keeps saying, nope, keep it inside, keep it to yourself, be a man, don't talk about your emotions. And one of the most beautiful things for me in my classes that I teach, because we talk about trauma, the adverse childhood experiences, all of that stuff, is that sometimes after class, somebody will stick around and will open up and say, you know what? I think I'm ready for therapy. Or, you know what? I just lost somebody else and where can I go to receive services? And again, it's a beautiful thing, like you say, that a higher number, for me, not just anybody, but males who are often the ones that are hurting themselves a lot more, that come up and say, oh, really? So you can go and receive services? Or, I decided to receive services. Somebody just came up last week and said, you know what? I went to therapy when I was younger, but the topics we are talking about in this class, I feel that I need to get back. And it's like, go for it, right? Like you can only benefit in order to, again, be of service to society at a greater degree. And so, yeah, I agree with you that the younger generations sometimes are more willing to, again, invest energy in their healing, and to have those serious conversations about trauma. What is trauma, right? Because la chancla voladora that many of us, or the belt or whatever, and how many memes we have created just to kind of deal or have community with other people who have been traumatized, rather than, you know what, that's not an okay behavior, right? My mom shouldn't have to hit me. Or the other piece, which is for us, forgiveness, right? Like, I know my mom didn't know better. I know my dad didn't know better. And by going to therapy and having, and again, I mention it also because community colleges and universities have those services included, as part of your fees, that you can go see a therapist. But being able to say, you know what, Dad, I love you unconditionally. Dad didn't know better. Mom didn't know better. Sometimes our siblings didn't know better. But we can choose to learn, so that, as Dr. Maria Hess has always said, trauma is the gift that keeps on giving. And unless we heal, we will find ways to keep mistreating our next generations. And so what I say to my students in my classes, I say, we want you to heal so that you can stop the pain, right? And so it's beautiful. I agree with you when I see, especially again, a male student who says, can you direct me to the office for mental health services? Can you tell me when there's another convivencia with Humanidad, so on and so forth? And so those are beautiful moments that say, okay, I must be doing something good if an individual feels comfortable coming to me as a male and asking for that support type of thing, right? Referrals to different resources. So again, even the choice of career that you made has some extremely positive outcomes when you work with these individuals. And after 3 months or 6 months, they come back to you and they have new understandings about themselves.
Yeah. So to everyone hearing, just, I know there will be moments of, doubt and wanting to give up, but don't give up. Just, you won't always be in that hole. Like, you'll find a way out of it. Things will align. And just imagine, Rafa, you and I here sitting down now as adults in our career, we could look back and talk to our younger selves. And I could talk to that 17-year-old Bianca in high school and say, I don't know if you're helping every single one of the people that are coming into your office, but you are helping people. And that's all you wanted to do. And it does feel like I'm helping people. And qué bonito es poder, look back and be like, oh my gosh, we did it.
And how lost we were at that age, right?
Yes.
Like I never thought, I thought I was going to become a lawyer when I was younger, before my brother passed. But a lot of it was about money,
Yes.
Coming from poverty, extreme poverty, it was about money. Oh, I want to have a car, I want to have a house, I want to be able to do this, that, and the other. And eventually it became psychology and criminology and all of this stuff because it was about our ancestral ways, which is service to the community, right? And that's the thing that, again, if you are listening to this information and you're like, I'm really lost, I think I'm just going to drop out of college, or I'm just going to finish high school and go to work, it's like, give yourself a chance. Go and take that introduction to career class so that you can see your potential. And I invite you, Bianca, excuse me, to get back. And let's go back to what else can students do when they are in college. One of them, of course, is, as you said, connect with professors. For me, when I was at Santa Rosa Junior College, my closest, I got a job as a student worker here, but my closest person was a janitor. And she saw in me perhaps what I couldn't see. I remember that I would come in to work, and once in a while, I think she would notice at 7:30 in the morning that I had not had breakfast, that I had only slept a couple of hours. And so I remember, because I still have it in my house, and it's this plastic bowl that she gave me, and I still have this spoon. This is hundreds of years ago. I still have the spoon that she gave me when one day she said, I have some cereal and I have some milk. She didn't have to do any of this stuff, right? But she saw community. She saw this young individual who wanted to succeed and obviously had nothing, right? And she didn't give me food all the time, but she would say, sometimes I'm here, and if I have some little bit of avena or cereal or whatever, I'll come by and I'll let you know. And maybe every couple of weeks I would run into her and she would say, do you want some food? I have some leftover food, right? And that's the type of community that I strive for as a professor at Santa Rosa Junior College, where, again, it's not just about the mental health, it's about, I'm here, come and see me. If I cannot provide it for you, let me take you. It's called a warm handoff. Let me take you to the psychological services. Let me take you to financial aid. You know what? I'm going to call so-and-so right now, and I'm going to let them know I am sending you over. Or when you get to the office, if somebody's being disrespectful, rude, or ignoring you, you just say, oh, Rafael sent me. Because I've been in this institution for over 21 years, and those who know me know that if a student tells them my name and they still don't receive the right services, I personally will stop whatever in order to go there. And I know that for me, that woman, right, the first woman that gave me my job, Kathleen Cummings, and then this other woman that I'm going to not say her name because I haven't asked permission, was just there, like just her presence. So for those of you who are thinking, oh, I need to get to know the president of the university or the vice president of student services, no, it could be the janitor, because it's about who you're going to go with and have conversations, get feedback. I tell people, the president of the university doesn't have all the keys, but the janitor has all the keys, right? And sometimes they are cleaning here and there, and they are listening to all these conversations. And sometimes they're like, hey, I don't know if you knew, but there's employment available in certain departments, or there's a new scholarship, or whatever the situation might be. And I don't know if you had that type of relationship in college, but for me, that was a big thing. And of course, when I went to Sonoma State, the one and only Dr. Maria Hess, who I felt always was psychoanalyzing me in every one of her classes, but ultimately, right, I was blessed before she passed that we had created such a healthy relationship. So again, I don't know what your experience was, whether you had clubs you went to. I couldn't because I didn't have the time, but I know clubs can be very, very healthy. Here at Santa Rosa Junior College, I've been the advisor of Mecha de SRJC for 21 years and going, and it's been such a privilege to see hundreds of students go to universities after college. I'll shut up. Tell us your experience.
Yeah, I do think just think about like those relationships, those connections that you could form. I mean even my high school club, like I never thought it would spark that like, oh, I want to do this. And also the way that I was able to get like little part-time jobs where I was like the therapeutic group thing, it was in my own local town. I would go to little events that the family centers would do like cooking classes and stuff like that. I would go to that, and that's where I would hear like, Bianca, you graduated from psychology, why don't you go and ask? I heard that they're doing some groups and someone's going on maternity leave, you should see if you could cover for them. And that is how now I have a contract with them to do counseling. So you just never know the connections you're forming, and so get yourself out there, get to know people. And I know that's really hard. It was really hard for me. But yes, definitely that. And then something else you mentioned, who is your support system? I was very fortunate to have a really good support system with my family, with who my husband was then, and my friends, just for that, just for my friends to be like, how's college going? Oh my gosh, let me talk to you about how it's going. And having that soundboard of someone just rooting for you and saying, si puedes, don't give up, reminding you of what you are capable of. That's also really important to have your support system.
Two things I want to mention really briefly. One is just because Bianca has a master's and myself have a master's does not mean that you have to get a master's or a bachelor's. If what you want is a certificate and you want to be the best mechanic in the area where you work, be that best mechanic. You want to be a chef, become a chef. If you want to become a doctor, go get that doctorate. Everybody has different skills, everybody has different abilities, and it's about doing something that you enjoy. And their saying is always about you'll never work in your a day in your life if you truly enjoy what you do. And so it's really important, because I don't want people to walk away with, oh, they are talking to those people. No, we are talking to everybody, right? And that is important. And then the other piece that, again, you mentioned that is important is, again, the community service. So do community service, because it's going to help you with scholarships and employment, and those letters of recommendation are super important, either for scholarships to get a job, or again, just to the opportunities to get some type of summer internship. Any of that stuff is essential. And so again, doesn't matter what your personal goals are, you want to be the best at whatever you want to do, go do that. But again, there's resources available in your school. So check out clubs, check out volunteer services, part-time jobs, internships. All of those things are important.
Yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that, because I do know a lot of people in my personal life, in professionally, clients that have gone through like certifications like welding, electrician, and a medical assistant, and they're doing well and they're happy and they have benefits in their job. So yes, whatever it is that you're feeling your calling is, like, just don't give up on that. Whatever your calling is, just go for it. It doesn't have to be a master's, it doesn't have to be a doctorate.
And the other piece here is don't give up, right? There's people that will go and start college and says, this is what I'm going to do. And then 6 months, a year into it, they're like, I don't like that anymore. I'm going to try this other thing. And then second year is done and they feel that they haven't accomplished anything, and then they drop out. Again, that's why that career class is so essential. But again, internships put you in the position of that career, and you're able to say, oh, this is not as bad as I thought, or this is definitely not for me. And you can move on to something else. So checking with your counselors or advisors, whatever you have at your school, to get the right guidance as well. Don't make a hasty decision of, you know what, college is not for me, I'm just going to walk out. And then you get married if you decide to do so. You have 2, 3 kids, and now it's 10 times harder to go back to college. It's not impossible, it's just going to be harder. So doing it this way the first time around is probably the easiest time that you're going to do it. And as you mentioned, Bianca, surrounding yourself with healthy people, friends, sometimes family. I love family, but sometimes I'm going to be transparent here. I guide my students to go as far away as possible. I've sent students to UCLA multiple times. And they're like, no, es que mi mamá dice, yep. I remember I sat down in front of the computer with one of my students who also has a master's now. And she said, no, es que she was accepted to 10 universities, 10 UCs after she turned, or 9, whatever it was, after she was done at Santa Rosa Junior College. And it came down to Berkeley because mom wanted her closer, or UCLA. And I said, mija, either you're going to press the button or I'm going to press the button, because it's May 1st and we need to decide in the next 10 minutes, but it's UCLA. No, but this, that, and the other. Again, she has a bachelor's degree from UCLA. She has a master's degree from UCLA. She's an independent person. She's a professional, and she's doing okay. And so sometimes family will try to keep you close for their own reasons. And maybe that's sometimes the reason that you surround yourself with other healthy people and make the decision to go away.
Yes, that's something I hear a lot in my office, that family is holding them to stay, even though they want something else for themselves. And something else that I forgot to mention that really comes up is also this transition when you're ready to let go of being a student and going into an actual job. It's really hard to let go of that identity of a student. I remember it was hard for even like student discounts. I'm like, I can't get a student discount anymore. It's really hard to let go of that role, that identity, because for all our whole life we were students, and now what are we if we're not a student? So it's really hard to let go of that too.
For me, it was interesting because I graduated in December and I went to work full time from Sonoma State. I went to work full time, and my job was still paying me the student wage at the private place. And I said, well, I'm a college grad. No, until we see your diploma. And I remember I went back to the dean and I said, she was a very kind woman. And I said, I'm going to need you to write me a letter, because my employer is saying that because I don't have that diploma and it's not going to arrive until like July or August, they're refusing to raise my wage. And she's like, what? They're doing that to you? And this woman didn't even know me. And she wrote the coolest letter. I still have a copy of it. And I showed up, says, here's the letter. And they're like, okay, we're going to have to raise your pay. Okay. And then the other piece was when I got my job at Santa Rosa Junior College, from that employer to the JC, I look at my first paycheck and I said, what am I going to do with all this money? Because I was used to 2 meals, 1 meal a day, whatever the situation was. And suddenly there was all this extra money, right? So money management, people, is super important. And again, on our YouTube channel, Líderes del Futuro, we have a video, and I'll create new videos about simple money management, savings, checking, money markets, CDs, all that stuff. Because sometimes the more money we make, the more money we waste. And how many people do I know personally that are $10,000 to $30,000 in credit card debt, even though they make more money than me? right? So that's the other failure of the educational system, from my perspective, that they don't teach us to manage money. And that is really unhealthy. And that's why Líderes del Futuro Avanzando has been doing trainings and all of that stuff. But we'll continue to make videos to educate people about finances. That's important. Is there any last recommendation or comment you would like to make, Bianca? I think that we cover a lot. I think that as opposed to when we do this therapeutic sessions, you and I in Spanish, I think this is a different type, and that's why I decided to call it Chisme's Life, because sometimes in Chisme you're moving around all these places, and I think it's a healthy conversation. So any final comment you may have?
No, just thank you for this chismecito, and hopefully you guys could get something out of it.
Definitely. So thank you, Bianca, for your guidance, your comments. I'm glad that you and I got to work, first be students and then got to work with Dr. Maria Hess. She's no longer physically here with us, but as we prepare to celebrate Day of the Dead, she's always in our hearts. And again, I wish more people had gotten the privilege and the opportunity to get trained by her. But thank you for taking the time and being here in Chisme's Live, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you.